How Stoicism helps you face loss, change, and the unexpected. Have you ever lost something you weren't ready to let go of? A person, a project, a vision for your life. Have you ever felt the ground vanish beneath you without warning, as if life changed the rules halfway through the game? This video is about that moment, not about how to avoid the pain of loss, but how to move through it with clarity, courage, and composure through the lens of Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor and Stoic thinker, once wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." It sounds harsh, but it's freeing. The Stoics didn't run from death, loss, or endings. They faced them head-on, and because of that, they lived with more presence and less fear. In this video, we'll explore how Stoicism teaches us to face impermanence, how to accept what we cannot control, how to move forward without breaking apart, and how to transform the end of something into the beginning of something greater. If you're dealing with loss or afraid of what could come, this is your invitation to look at what most people avoid and come out stronger than ever on the other side. 1. The illusion of permanence. Everything we love is already leaving. We live as if everything will last forever. People, routines, good moments. We make plans as if time were unlimited and suffer deeply when life reminds us that nothing is permanent. Seneca once wrote, "Everything that is given to us is given on loan." It's a discomforting truth. Everything we have today is constantly changing. Sooner or later, what we love will be taken from us, not because life is cruel, but because it is, by nature, unpredictable and fragile. The pain of loss is not the mistake. That pain is human. The mistake lies in expecting stability from a world that is constantly in motion. Stoicism teaches us to exchange attachment for awareness, to fully appreciate what we have, precisely because it might end. Not out of pessimism, but out of presence. Marcus Aurelius meditated daily on death, not out of morbidity, but to sharpen his sense of what truly matters. Epictetus reminded us not to love anything as if it were eternal, but to be grateful for the time it was ours. Accepting impermanence is not weakness, it is strength, and it is freedom. You suffer less when you stop demanding from life what it never promised, and you begin to truly live when you understand that this moment is all you really have. 2. When life gives no warning. How the Stoic faces the unexpected. How many times has life knocked the wind out of you with something you never saw coming? A sudden loss, a life-changing piece of news, that feeling that everything turned upside down, and you had no time to prepare. The unexpected doesn't ask for permission. It arrives, and what often hurts the most is not what happened, but how much we resist accepting what's already real. Epictetus said, "Don't seek for events to happen as you wish, but wish for them to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly." That one line contains a powerful truth. Resisting reality only multiplies our pain. Stoicism teaches us that there are two kinds of pain: the unavoidable pain, loss, change, grief, and the additional pain, born from denial, rebellion, and trying to control the uncontrollable. You can't control the wind, but you can adjust your sails. That is the Stoic way of responding to the unexpected. The wise do not cling to illusions of stability. They live with grounded presence and a prepared mind. They don't pray for nothing to change. They train the soul to adapt when it does. And when the unforeseen arrives, the Stoic does not collapse. Yes, they feel it, but then they take a breath and say, "It came to me, so it is mine to face." 3. The premeditation of loss. Suffer less by preparing better. Have you ever considered that you might suffer less, not by avoiding loss, but by preparing for it? That idea may sound cold, but it's one of the most powerful teachings in Stoicism. The Stoics practice something called Premeditatio Malorum, the premeditation of adversity, not to attract tragedy, but to strengthen the soul before it arrives. Seneca wrote constantly about death, about losing friends, wealth, reputation, not because he wanted those things to happen, but because he understood that everything we have is borrowed, and one day it may be taken back. Epictetus taught that when you look at someone you love, you should remember they are mortal. Not to fear their loss, but to love more deeply while you still can, without clinging blindly. Premeditation doesn't erase pain, but it transforms it. It turns pain into perspective, fear into presence, grief into wisdom. When you've already reflected on life's impermanence, you're not caught off guard. Yes, you still feel, but you feel with maturity, not despair. You no longer demand guarantees from life. You start cherishing the now because you finally see it for what it is, fleeting and therefore priceless. 4. Loss is part of the natural order. Nothing truly belongs to us. When we lose someone or something, our first reaction is often disbelief. This shouldn't have happened, we say. But Stoicism offers a quiet, unwavering response. It should have. It happened exactly as nature intended. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whatever happens, happens as it should. And if it's in accordance with nature, it is right." This challenges us because we grow up believing we have control over time, relationships, outcomes. But the truth is, we don't even control our next breath. The Stoic understands that life lends. It does not give. It lends us our bodies, our loved ones, our careers, our moments of joy. And one day, without warning or negotiation, it takes them back. Loss hurts, but it also reveals. It reveals our attachments. It reveals our illusions of permanence. And most of all, it reveals our resistance to a simple truth. Nothing was ever truly ours to keep. Epictetus taught, when you kiss your child, say to yourself, he is mortal, so you won't be devastated if he dies. It's not a call for emotional distance, but for conscious love. It's not about becoming cold. It's about becoming awake. To accept loss as part of the natural order is to let go of possession and embrace instead gratitude for having experienced it at all. 5. We suffer twice, from loss and from resisting what's already gone. There is a pain that comes from loss, but there's another kind, quieter, longer lasting, that comes from refusing to accept that loss, from mentally reliving what can no longer be changed, from resisting what already is. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more in imagination than in reality." In Stoicism, we learn that pain is natural, but prolonged suffering is often a mental habit. It's not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about realizing that rejecting reality only deepens the wound. How often have you suffered more from memory than from the event itself? How often have you replayed scenes, imagined different endings, rewritten what you wish had happened? That mental loop is a form of self-imprisonment. Epictetus taught that the wise person looks at what has happened and says, "It's done. It no longer depends on me. Now, what can I do with what remains?" That is the turning point. While most people drown in regret or denial, the Stoic surfaces with clarity, accepts the past, breathes in the present, and lays foundations for the future. You don't have to erase your pain, but you can choose not to feed it through resistance. Reality is the ground beneath you. To deny that ground is to fall. To accept it is the beginning of standing again, with dignity. Don't suffer twice. The loss has already happened. The resistance? That part is optional. 6. The value of now. Presence as the antidote to loss. The pain of loss often grows from what we failed to fully experience, from what we rushed past, the words left unsaid, the hugs delayed, the time we took for granted, because we assumed there would always be more. Stoicism calls us to a rare kind of presence, to live fully in the now, as if everything could end tomorrow. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Stop debating what it means to be a good man, just be one." And this urgency applies not only to how we act, but to how we love, how we connect, how we exist in time. To the Stoic, every moment is unique. Every encounter is potentially the last. Every glance is a reminder that everything changes and that nothing is guaranteed. This is not about living in fear of death. It's about living with depth, intentionality, and reverence. The anxious mind lives in the future. The grieving mind clings to the past. But the Stoic-trained mind returns to the present, not by accident but by practice. If you want to suffer less from loss, live more fully in what you still have. Listen attentively. Hold with intention. Give thanks while it's still here. When the end comes, and it always does, you will feel pain. But not guilt, not regret. Because you were truly there. And in the end, that's what remains. The knowing that you lived well, while you could. 7. Strengthening the inner self. Loss as soul. Training for many, loss feels like a full stop. But for the Stoic, it can also be a form of training. Not physical, but internal. It's not about forcing meaning onto pain, but about recognizing that every experience carries an invitation. The invitation to grow, to mature, to become inwardly stronger. Marcus Aurelius endured the death of children, betrayal, illness, war. And still he wrote, "The soul becomes stronger by bearing adversity with dignity." Stoicism doesn't erase pain. It refines it. It transforms shock into insight, absence into reverence, grief into quiet strength. Each loss becomes a step, not because the pain disappears, but because you've expanded your capacity to carry it with wisdom. The modern world tells us to avoid pain at all costs. The Stoic knows pain is inevitable, and denying it only gives it more power. Accepting it is the first act of true freedom. Epictetus taught that anything that happens to us can be used to build virtue, even heartbreak, even death, even silence. You don't choose what you lose, but you can choose what you become because of it. You can break, or you can become whole. The Stoic soul doesn't fear pain. It walks beside it and grows stronger with every step. 8. Every ending is also a beginning, the Stoic way to start again. When something ends, it's easy to believe that everything ended with it. The relationship, the dream, the future you had pictured. The emptiness feels final, like there's nothing left. But Stoicism offers a different view. Every ending holds, quietly, the seed of a beginning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Change is not only a part of life, change is life itself." This reminds us, even when you feel stuck, life keeps flowing. And because of that, the Stoic learns to begin again with dignity, without clinging to what is already gone. To start over is not to forget. It's not to pretend it didn't hurt. It's to honor the loss without being imprisoned by it. Seneca advised not to live staring backward, as if trying to rebuild the ruins of what used to be. Instead, the Stoic gathers what remains, learns from the collapse, and slowly, patiently, builds something wiser, sturdier, and more real. Life doesn't go back, but it does open new paths for those willing to walk. Have you lost something? Someone? Feel it. Grieve. Be still. But then, rise. With calm. There is still ground. There is still meaning. And you, stronger now, can begin again. Pain leaves a mark, but it doesn't have to define you. The ending hurts, but it also clears space, and in that space, something new can grow. 9. You are not alone. Loss as a shared human experience. Loss can feel like the loneliest experience in the world. When something or someone is taken from us, we often feel as if time has stopped for us, while the rest of the world keeps moving forward. But Stoicism reminds us of a powerful truth. You are not the first, nor the last, to feel this kind of pain. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Whatever happens has happened before, and will happen again." This doesn't minimize your pain. It places it in context. Loss is not personal punishment. It is part of being human. From the beginning of time, people have mourned the same things: death, separation, failure, sudden change. The Stoics knew that while pain is individual, suffering can be shared with empathy. You don't need to carry this alone. Seneca encouraged seeking the company of wise people when hurting, not for shallow comfort, but to be reminded that you're still alive and that life can go on. To share your story is not weakness. It's an act of courage. It's a way to connect through honesty, and to remind others that healing is possible. The Stoic does not isolate. They learn from those who came before, walk beside those in pain, and plant seeds of strength for those yet to come. You may be hurting, but you are not alone. And sometimes, simply knowing that is enough to keep going. 10. Loss is not the end. A reminder that we're just passing through. One of our greatest illusions is permanence. We want things to stay as they are. We want people to remain. We want time to wait. But time does not wait. It moves, quietly, invisibly, and without asking for our permission. Stoicism doesn't come to harden us, but to awaken us, to remind us of a truth we try so hard to ignore. We are temporary, not just our possessions, not just our relationships, us. Epictetus said, "You are an actor in a play. Your role may be short or long, but it is your duty to play it well." Loss forces us to confront this reality. It reminds us that life isn't something we own. It's something we're allowed to experience briefly, and that makes it precious. The Stoic doesn't suppress grief, but they also don't let grief define them. They transform loss into perspective, absence into reverence, and sadness into inner strength. Seneca taught that death and loss aren't interruptions to life. They are part of life itself. To deny this is to live in constant resistance. To accept it is to finally begin living with clarity, depth, and intention. Have you lost something? Someone? Then you've touched one of life's deepest truths. Nothing is guaranteed. But this realization doesn't have to bring despair. It can awaken urgency, gratitude, presence. The end is not the end. It's life reminding you you're still here, and what you choose to do with that fact is everything. If this video helped you see loss with new eyes, with more clarity, maturity, and peace, wait until you discover how the Stoics approached something even more subtle: attachment. Why do we suffer so deeply when we love? Is it possible to love fully without becoming a prisoner of the fear of loss? How do we find balance between connection and inner freedom? In the next episode, we'll explore the Stoic view on love, relationships, and detachment, and why the great minds of ancient philosophy believed that true love doesn't chain you down, it sets you free. If you want to keep growing your mind, your heart, and your emotional resilience, don't miss it. Turn on notifications, and until then, live with presence, love with awareness, and walk forward with calm and strength.